Hey there, I'm author Sarah A. Chrisman, and today I'm going to talk to you about the history of massage.
In First Wheel in Town, Book 1 of the Tales of Chetzemoka, there's a scene where Doc cures Kitty's headache through a massage technique that he assures her had been, quote, the most relaxing part of medical school, unquote. At the end of this video, I'll walk you through the particular techniques that Doc used on Kitty's headache, but first I'd like to tell you about massage in history. Massage in general goes back to some of the grooming techniques of early proto-humans. As civilizations rose and became sophisticated, massage techniques became more sophisticated as well. Ancient Egyptians used kneading and friction techniques for rheumatic pain, neuralgia, and swellings, and the Persians and the ancient Chinese were well versed in massage too. The ancient Greeks were particularly keen on movements of the human body, both active and passive, and how these relate to human health. And Plato particularly recommended the value of passive movements, or what we would now call massage. The Romans followed the Greek models of massage like they did with so many other things, and in the Bible there are incidents where cures are effected by what at the time was called the laying on of hands. In the medieval era, massage didn't so much disappear as it just retreated to the realm of folk medicine for a while. Then in the Renaissance, when the fancier classes of society were rediscovering the ancient world, they decided to take another look at massage as well. As a treatment technique, it gained special popularity in Northern Europe, and skipping ahead to 18th century Sweden brings us to a man who's been called the father of modern massage, Per Henrik Ling. Born in the late 1700s in Småland, Sweden, as a young man, Ling suffered from intense rheumatism while performing military service under inclement conditions in Europe. Later, he found that the pain of his rheumatism was reduced and finally eliminated through the exercise and training involved in his study of fencing. When he later taught fencing himself at the University of Lund, Sweden, he incorporated a number of gymnastic movements into the training regimen. He was particularly interested in the utility and effects of passive and active stretching movements. As he perfected old movement techniques and established new ones, Ling's focus began to shift from the use of movement for the purpose of perfecting military prowess to its use in the treatment of disease and injury. The underlying philosophy of Ling's Swedish movement cure, as described by his near contemporary Cure W. Ostrom, is as follows. In order to achieve and maintain maximum health, it is necessary for the full range of motion to be experienced by all muscles in the human body. This simple idea formed the basis for modern massage and physical therapy. As the 19th century progressed and medicine became professionalized and codified, the foundations laid by Per Ling helped guarantee massage's acceptance as a valid and important treatment technique, and kept it from being relegated to the realm of folk medicine like a lot of other holistic remedies. Doctors and nurses were trained in massage techniques, and massage was an important offering at mineral spring resorts and spas, where health, relaxation, and whole-body wellness were combined in rather delicious ways. Now let's get to that demonstration I promised you. You might want to turn your volume up for this part. I was speaking sort of softly because screaming at Gabriel while I was massaging him would not have been optimal.
So the first thing you're going to do is cradle the head in both your hands. And your hands are cupping those little bumps at the base of the skull. Technical term for it is the occiput, or the phrenologists used to call it the bumps of amativeness. You're going to cup those in your hands and then slowly draw your hands apart. And then you're going to take your thumbs next to each other, draw them down the forehead, down the scalp, and then do it again. It's all very, very slow. The idea is that you are relaxing the muscles that cover the head. Because if you ever look at a chart of the muscles under the skin in a human head, there are a lot of them. They're all very, very thin muscles, but they get very tense because we carry so much of our emotion in our head and facial structure. And so what can happen when we're tense, those muscles tense up, because those muscles are very highly linked to our emotions, because they're literally the muscles that show our emotions in our body language. And so they can get over tense, and that can cause headaches. This is the technique that Doc used to help Kitty's headache in First Wheel in Town. And it won't cure every headache, but it will help with some of them. And especially if the headache is caused by tension that creates too much stress in those thin muscles of the head and scalp and face. So again, what I'm doing, the muscles are bilateral. There's one set on each side. So I'm going down the center line, tracing the center line, then cupping the head very, very gently, very, very slowly, and just letting the head's own weight sink it down into my hands. And this guy I'm working on, who happens to be married to me, I've worked on enough that he knows not to try to hold his head up on his own, because just letting it relax and letting it fall into my hands is part of what makes this work, because it's the weight of his own head that is giving just enough pressure. If I tried to press into his head, it would be quite uncomfortable, but the head is just heavy enough to give its own weight and create its own pressure. And you can just keep doing these slow, relaxing movements until the person you're working on is relaxed and or their headache goes away. Thank you for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a nice thumbs up and remember to tell your friends about my books. Happy reading!